Thank you, Madam Speaker. To the bill.
To the bill.
Colleagues, I have a little bit of a different or additional perspective on this bill that we haven't talked about today, and I'm glad the good representative from Medford talked about the Constitution. You know, for the last several years, I've worked on privacy legislation in this body, and I'm proud that a lot of that work has happened in a very bipartisan way, and fundamentally I see this bill in that same vein. I think this bill clarifies the privacy that Oregonians are entitled to. As residents of the state and the United States, we have a reasonable expectation of privacy and are afforded that expectation of privacy by the Constitution. In fact, where the law ends, our privacy begins. That means outside the bounds of state and federal law, the government has no right to our private information, and this extends to federal officials. Without going through the proper legal channels, the federal government should not have access to my address, my workplace, my hours of work, my school hours, my contact information, the identity of my associates or my relatives, the date, time, or location of proceedings, hearings, or appointments that I have with government officials that are not a public record. My dealings with my relatives and my associates are private. I believe that we all have this fundamental expectation of privacy. I expect my personal information will not be shared by the government without proper legal authority. And when privacy is compromised, the very basis of our constitutional rights are compromised. Decades of case law reinforces we are all afforded this expectation of privacy by the Constitution. The 5th and 14th Amendment protects every person within the boundaries of this country from deprivation of life, liberty, or property without due process. Colleagues, these rights attach the minute your foot hits the ground in the United States. The legislation before you, I believe, is not about creating a special class of people, giving unnecessary authority to the Attorney General, or violating federal law. I believe it's about providing clarity and providing every resident of Oregon the same expectation of privacy I know that I expect from my government. I urge and I vote.